Hey everybody, how you doing? It is December 20th, year 2020, and I am in Sacramento, California, reporting to you about the coronavirus pandemic and giving you information, giving you some support, and just generally trying to be here with you. This is the holiday edition. We're going to be talking about music today, keeping it relatively light. But as we know, this year is anything but light. And one of the ways that I've gotten through everything in my life, including this whole pandemic, is with music. One of my earliest childhood memories is like gatherings at my grandma's house with all my family, all my cousins, and everybody would be there. You know, every weekend somebody had a birthday, somebody had something going on, and my aunts and uncles would show up. My grandma's aunts and uncles would show up, or her brothers and sisters would show up. And the old dudes would always have their guitars with them, and they'd be playing, be playing those guitars. And they were out of tune. Their hands were too big. They were hitting all the strings at one time. It was, I could tell it wasn't like top shelf music. You know, it wasn't Motown or nothing like that. Man, these guys were singing their hearts out. And my grandma and her sisters at some point would show up, and they would all sing Las Mañanitas, if it was somebody's birthday, which it always was. And it was just beautiful. I could feel the soul just pouring out of them and into me. And I didn't know at the time what kind of strength they were giving us, but they were really passing that shit down. And all these years later, throughout my whole life, I've always connected with music, and I've used it as a grounding mechanism to just get through whatever is going on. There is a song that will get you through something. Pretty sure most of the people I know feel that way, and these two guys that I'm bringing on tonight definitely feel that way. Anyway, we're going to get to that in a second, but right now we're going to talk about COVID. So this week, I think Northern California went on shelter in place again. At least the Bay Area for sure is in shelter in place. And my family is still talking about getting together, but it's looking like we're not. My dad's side is already canceled. You know, we're going to Zoom in with each other, all that kind of thing. And I think my mom's side, we're going to do the same thing because it's like that. And part of the reason is that people are not paying attention to the protocols. You got to wear your mask. I got one here. This is my homemade mask that came out. My girl made it for me at the beginning of the pandemic. Every time you're out in public, it's a very simple, easy thing to do. I haven't heard of anybody suffocating or dying yet. Fogs up my glasses. That's annoying, but I can get past that if I'm going to keep other people safe. And just you gotta maintain your social distance when you're out. Just stay home. Just stay home. These two guys that I have on tonight are really doing their part to stay home. Larry is going to be up first. He's like almost a guru. I'm not a spiritual person or religious person, but if I was, Larry would be my guru. There was a time when I was young and I was getting into funk. It was probably Funkadelic. It was some album. And I mentioned it to Larry, and he's like, "Oh yeah, next time you're over my house, you should definitely let's make you a tape." So next time I was over there, I mentioned it to him that he said he was going to make me a tape, and he took me into his room. His entire room was lined with records, and this dude had funk. He had funk for days. There was a whole section. I don't even know what it was, but it set me up properly. And that was back in the days when a mixtape was an actual tape. There's a lot of trouble that went into making that tape, and it was well appreciated. Anyway, he's made a good living at it his whole life. He had a night here in Sacramento at this club called the Press Club. Everybody here knew it just as church because it's like that, like there's a few things in this world that are holy, and music is one of them. Dance is one of them, and he's right in the middle of all that. So every Sunday night, people would get together and hit him up there. Coronavirus has changed all that. So he's doing other stuff now. He's on Twitch doing a night. He's doing that later on tonight around 10. And let me just get him in here. There we go. How you
What's
doing,
up,
man?
Jess? That's T nice.
There we go.
All right.
Still working this out.
That's all good.
How you feel, man?
Not bad, man. You know, as good as you could feel in a situation like this that we've all been going through.
Yes, sir.
It's the honest answer that I could give.
Yeah, looking good. So, how's did you do the honey thing today?
Oh no, I just did a few private sales. You know.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't have.
I have one of your side gigs. It's getting you through all this stuff. And was that your sole income? Was just DJing and all that kind of stuff?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was DJing pretty much full time. Had 3 regular nights a week, steady nights, and then offshoots as well. You know, here and there at other clubs, and then also, you know, sometimes on the weekends I do weddings and other events or whatever, or parties and stuff. So, yeah, it was my whole life basically, and I was blessed enough to be doing that for like the last 20 years of not having a regular job and just working for myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I really miss it. I dearly miss it. And so, sort of crisis mode in a way that, like, I do have all my eggs in that basket, you know, for many years. And so, you know, I'm looking, I don't know if DJing at a club will ever come back. Who knows what's going to happen from here, especially as big as the United States is, with so many different divergent views on, you know, what this crisis is all about. There's not like a sense that we're all in it together, like, say, other countries that are basically islands like Japan, Australia, New Zealand, which is pretty much Australia and New Zealand pretty much has, you know, they stamped it out. Everybody did their part, you know. Here in America, it's a little bit more difficult. And
I don't quite understand our thing here.
Again, you know, I don't know if we're going to be able to come back to it, if these vaccines are going to work out or not, if people are going to end up having flipper babies and having convulsions from them. We don't know. I really think they're just rushing it out. And I hope it works. I really do. You know, we'll see.
Yeah. It's a new thing, you know, the technology they're used on this, and that's good in one way, but in another way, it's still just like, hey, this is a new untested thing. And you're right. Like, scientific discovery is littered with things that started out really great and ended up pretty fucked up. Yeah. So yeah, we'll see. But I like the way you're getting through it. Like, I caught a couple of your live streams. Your visuals are way better than mine. I'm still pretty basic here with my.
Those visuals aren't really mine. I pretty much just spent many hours going through, you know, YouTube is like one of the best educational tools that guy could ever want, or a person could ever hope for. You know, everything's on there. Anybody can participate. And, you know, when I was back in the day, when I really wasn't making very much money, I'd go to these record swaps, and there'd be these rare records, and you wondered what they sounded like. You know, you'd look at these records, whether it be jazz or some weird post-punk experimental, you know, or reggae or African record, and they want, you know, $150, $200 on some of these records, some old rare psychedelia from Colombia or whatever, and you're like, damn, I wish I could hear this thing. Well, now through YouTube, people have uploaded those very albums, and you could hear them in their entirety, and you don't have to spend one fucking dime except for the internet bill. And and it's everything I've always ever wanted, you know. And I wish I had when I was a kid. And I always wished that I could see rare footage of James Brown or Funkadelic, or, you know, or just Sun Ra and whatever, interviews and whatnot. And it's all there. It's all there. And you can find obscure music that you think that you don't really, that I am not really big on Spotify, because I think I learn more from YouTube. Spotify will get you by on just so much. It's a good teacher, you know.
Yeah.
But there are some things that I think are just so far out there and so obscure that Spotify and iTunes will never pop up on there unless somebody does a proper reissue of it and puts them on those platforms or whatever. So I like YouTube a lot better, just because if somebody is posting up some very, hard to find, obscure things, and you look that up and you're like, wow, they have this whole record, or they have this particular song. What else do they like? And you could go on their playlists and see what else they've uploaded, and you can see some of their favorite things. And you're like, wow, okay, they like this, this, and this, but what is this? And you'll find other things you never heard of. And that was like going into the stacks at KDVS, where I'd pick out like maybe 12 things I had written down that I always wanted to hear. And I thought that maybe they would have it in there, because it's a very deep collection, as far as records, tapes, and CDs go. I mean, you could find a lot of rarities there. And I'd end up with like maybe 30 things, discovering 30 things that I wanted to listen to that I've never heard before, just because it looked interesting. And it's the same thing with the YouTube, there's just so much discovery to be had.
No, it's true. I've gotten down a couple good rabbit holes. I think I sent you a couple songs every now and then. I'm just like, I hope Larry hasn't heard this. I think I got you one time.
I appreciate it. I hope you still do that, because there are a lot of things I've never heard, and I'm willing to learn and listen and learn, from others such as yourself. Yeah.
So what's kind of like your go-to music? What's the thing that always sets you straight?
What, as far as like getting through a difficult time, like a funky mood, fucked up, like hard time or whatever?
Yeah.
That varies greatly, God. I have, since we've talked like earlier in the week, you were talking, I think you mentioned healing music. And I started thinking about all the songs that I do like, that kind of like take me, that kind of like smooth things out, if there's turbulence in the field of thought or whatever, if there's some rocky shit happening, I think I should do a show. I have another show besides Flower Bomb, which is the dance music. I do another show called Tripping with the Flower Vato, which used to be my KDVS show. And it's not always funk and soul and reggae and Afro groove and all that, or disco. Tripping with the Flower Vato is pretty much, when I first met you, all those records that you saw, they weren't really all funk records. They were like jazz, reggae, world music from the Middle East and Africa, a lot of experimental, post-punk, weird new wave synthesizer stuff from the 70s or whatever, strange new age records that came out of like some cults from, the mid to late 70s that came out of, were from wherever, that were just oddities that I found at the thrift shops. Like, So Tripping with the Flower Vato is kind of a culmination of all those things, where people just kind of figured I'd just be doing the funk thing all the time. That's just my favorite stuff to play, to get people to dance, and my favorite stuff to dance to myself,
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to do, if you guys look out for my Twitch or my Facebook, I'm going to probably be doing another Tripping with the Flower Vato session within the next couple of days. And you could hear some of the healing songs that I like to listen to. More of the ethereal, spiritual sounding sort of music,
Yeah, cool. Yeah, for me, it's usually like Sun Ra usually gets me there. Alice Coltrane.
Sure.
Yeah, Stevie's reliable.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that's what gets me there. So I know you got a show coming up later on. I'm gonna let you go get to that. How you been getting through this thing? Like, you still got to make money. I know I went and bought some honey from you a little while back, and someone else came and bought, and they paid with cash, and you squirted down every single dollar bill she handed you.
Absolutely.
You're doing the whole thing. You got the mask going, you got the alcohol going.
I'll even like squirt down the product, give it a little wipe, and just
man.
I mean, you don't know, man. There's so many different. They keep coming up with different shit on how this is spreading and everything, and I think it's better to be safe and cautious than not.
Yeah. Have you been tested?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, at least a few times. Every like other month or whatever, I'll go in just to, squirts or whatever and everything, just to see how that I'm not asymptomatic or whatever. And
no, I'm lucky at work. They've been they got us testing weekly now. I work at UC Davis, and they're doing that. So it's like, it gives you a little peace of mind, but they still say, like, that doesn't mean much. You're cool today.
Yeah. And unfortunately, there are a lot of people out there that are on the, that are nature paths that are mostly, supposed to be pretty much to the left and whatever, that are kind of like have the same views as Trumpers, that it comes from this selfish place of, well, as long as you're healthy and you're exercising, you're eating right, and your immunity's good, that even, you're going to be good. You're not going to die from it or whatever. And you don't have to wear masks and all that. It's a bunch of bullshit and blah, 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 blah. But I think that's very selfish. Like there was a guy that we met that was just spouting that same shit. And I hear it from the nature path people a lot, that they think it's just, as long as you're healthy and you're exercising, then you have no reason to fear. Well, I think they still need to do their part and wear a fucking mask when they're out around others and everything, because they could be walking around feeling all healthy and invincible, but they could be carrying that shit and spreading it as well, even if they feel okay.
Yeah, and I want to tell those people every single time, man, it's not about you. This one ain't about you.
It's coming from a very selfish place.
Yeah.
Fucking bullshit. And in the nicest way, when they're spouting that shit, I try to really lay it down on them. Like, hey, man, I agree. I agree that as long as you're healthy and you're treating your body right and you're exercising and eating well, that you're going to be okay. But we got to do our part. We got to think about other people.
Yeah. I got my aunt.
Mad at a guy. I had to go to the store or whatever, and this dude had his mask halfway off, sneezed. And, I was maybe 20 feet away, and I'm like, hey, motherfucker, why don't you wear the shit over your nose, man? It don't work this way. We're all going to fucking die. I said that. Everybody stared at his ass, and he just walked out, didn't say shit.
Well, for all those people in that store, I thank you.
No, and as long as you don't get your ass whipped, we should try to fucking keep people in check, because there's just too many left turns going out, man, and it's all going to be a big crash if people keep just walking around. I mean, look I grew up with when you first met me, I lived in a punk house, and we were total living outlaw lifestyle, no real self-governing and all that, But goddamn it, if they just start if they start finding motherfuckers for just committing fouls, I don't know, I'm almost all for it. Goddamn, what do we got to do to get people in line?
Yeah, crazy. I live
I'm not being able to DJ out in the clubs and play music for people out, in public. My favorite gig of the year is the Appetite Enhancement Ride, the Thanksgiving critical mass bike ride that happens on Thanksgiving every year. There's 400 or 500 people out there. And for the last 10, 11, 12, I don't know, maybe even 15 years, I've been DJing it. It's my favorite gig. It's so fun. I could play so much adventurous music and not have to worry about if people are dancing or not. People are just having a ball. Yeah. And that's gone,
Yeah.
And I'm bummed out. My family can't get together. I didn't have Thanksgiving. I cooked my mom breakfast, whatever. We sat outside, at a distance even, and for Christmas it's gonna be the same lonely shit. I'm really it's hard not to get mad and disappointed when you see people not trying to pull together and do their part.
Yeah. And that's that's part of what this show is about too, is reminding everybody that we got to do our part, but also reminding everybody that this is a leadership failure. If we would have had good messaging at the beginning of this, I think people would be more on the same page.
Sure.
And it just didn't happen. And if we live in a democracy, this is our fault too. We're choosing people that are not doing their job. They're just kind of saying what somebody wants to hear and then not doing anything about it. This is some real shit that we're in right now. And I just want to remind everybody of that. But anyway, thank you very much. I got your Twitch thing down there. So if anybody wants to check you out, and what time are you going on?
I'm on tonight at 10 p.m. And if you go to Twitch, I'm under Flower Vato 68. If you're on YouTube, if you're a friend of mine on YouTube, I'm there under Larry Rodriguez Flower Vato. I run it on there, and then eventually, because of copyright issues, Facebook fucking trips and they knock me off after sometimes 35, 40 minutes. I'm out of there. But if you happen to see me on there, just know that you could go to Twitch and they won't interrupt the broadcast. It'll keep going as long as I'm,
okay.
and they won't mute the music or anything like that until after the fact.
Yeah.
And also, because I really miss interacting with people as far as dancing, and people really miss, there's sort of a symbiotic relationship between the audience and the DJ, or whether you're a musician or artist or whatever, you know, that's been missing. So through StreamYard, which you're using right now, you could bring up to 10 different people. So the last couple of broadcasts of Flower Bomb, I've had like maybe 3, 4, 5 people on screen, and you could bring people up on screen while they're dancing in their living room, and then go back to the visuals and all that. So if you guys want to partake, just you could go to Facebook and the stream. There's a stream link. If you want to come up on camera and dance around or whatever, maybe you have your kids with you, or you and your boo, or whoever you're with, you know, your little pod, your trusted pods, you know, whatever you guys want to dance in the living room while I'm DJing or whatever, there's that as well. You could go to Twitch, and I'll put a link to StreamYard up there in the comments if you want to join in.
Cool,
and come
man.
and be part of the broadcast, be part of the dance party.
Right on. Right on. I appreciate it so much.
Thanks for having me, Jesse.
Yeah, man.
I'm glad you're out there doing your thing. You're doing lots of beautiful, positive things for our community, man, and it's wonderful. You're
trying.
I'm really proud of you, man. I'm proud to know
Thanks,
you.
Man. Yeah, same to you. Thank you. Appreciate you. All right. So next person I got up here, I have not known as long as Larry, though we have been at many of the same parties in our misspent youth. But somehow we never met when we were young. We met when we were old. And since then, he's become a staple in my life. Somehow inspired him to start making these playlists. I wanted the inside track on some reggae music, and it took him forever, but then he got going on doing some soul and reggae playlists on Saturday and Sunday. So I was asking him about what he's been doing, and he said he's just trying to make it easy for people to stay home. And yeah, so I'm going to bring him in here right now, and we will talk about what he's up to. What's up, my man?
Hello, how are you?
Good. So I forgot to introduce you fully as well. You also, for life, you're a DJ. Music is pretty central to your whole thing. But you're also working at Johns Hopkins University, or no, not Johns Hopkins University. Hold on, I'm going to read this. You're the communications specialist at the Center for Adolescent Health in Johns Hopkins School of Public Health.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. So people can go to that link, right? Link.
Yeah, that's great. If people need, that's a place people can go for accurate coronavirus information. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. And then you gave me the grim statistic today that someone's dying of it like every 30 seconds or something.
The one I saw today was every 33 seconds.
33. All right. Well, that's better than I thought.
Yeah. Better than 30, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I just and like Larry was saying, just wear your mask and stay home.
Right.
And that's one of the reasons I started making the playlist, because I know we're all living through this horribly, and so I know people I know and would like to hear them, and then they would share them, and anything that makes an hour stuck at home better, or 2 hours stuck at home better. Yeah.
No, you're doing the Lord's work, man. Those playlists are getting me through. They're beautiful, and we chat all the time. So I've gone down a couple of good rabbit holes on YouTube.
Oh yeah,
yeah. You're
well, see, that was the thing when we used to chat. I would send you down these YouTube rabbit holes, and you'd be like, "Dude, I can't even keep up." So you need to just make the list, and Larry is right. Spotify, there's so much that's not on Spotify. There's so much that's not on Spotify that should be. It's so sad.
Yeah,
like some basic stuff.
It is, but it works, and everybody has it. It's working.
Right.
So let's talk about some soul music here. That is kind of your niche, right? And so what's getting you through this? What's your staples that you can always just like tap into, and it'll pull you out of whatever kind of funk you're in?
Well, what are my life rules, or my basic life tenets is any situation, good, bad, celebratory morning, a Stevie Wonder song makes it better.
That's
so
very true.
You can always go to Stevie, and you can go from fingertips all the way through. I don't know if Woman in Red does anything for me, but once in a while,
up to that, it was solid.
a little. I can bop to some. I Just Called. Sometimes you get that song in the right situation, and you're just like, oh, Stevie, right? Like, and I love the song he wrote for The Outsiders soundtrack.
True.
Stay Gold.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So one of the things that I always enjoy, and I'm still trying to push you on, is getting all your stories into the broadcast somehow.
That's another limit of Spotify.
Yeah, you just. But I like your introductions. It's good.
Oh,
you get enough in there.
That's me living in my own head,
Yep. All right. I'm gonna put up this banner. Is this your name on Spotify?
Yes, but no. Excuse me, no space.
Oh,
no space
okay.
between them. Yeah. Actually, I think it's DJ T Nice.
Oh. All right. I'm gonna let the folks know. Hold on.
Yeah.
Yeah. There we go. All right, DJ T Nice. There might be a space between DJ, but anyway, that's all the letters. If you want to find him on Spotify, I think you're up to what? Soul Shot. You got Saturday Soul Shot.
Yeah, that
episode 10?
11.
11. All right. So right now it's the Christmas episode. That's a beauty, for sure.
Yeah, and not as easy as you think, because there's. It's easy to find a lot of like mid 80s and later soul cuts, or modern R&B. But back in the day, like in the 60s through like the mid 70s, a lot of, especially the male singers, were also trying to get in the supper club hustle.
Oh, right.
And so they would sing the Christmas songs as standards. And so it's like, okay, that doesn't sound like Marvin. That could be any crooner.
Yeah,
singing that song rather than Marvin Gaye. That's one of the great things about those Otis Redding tracks on there is Otis couldn't be anything but Otis.
Yeah,
and just let it go.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. You got to get that paper though. I don't hold it against anybody.
No. And it's still. I mean, it sounds great. It's just not. It's a different sound. It's a different arrangement of the music, and it's a different use of their voice.
Yeah,
in singing those songs, and they still pull it off. These are all brilliant artists as far as singers. So,
yeah, and what they were singing through is amazing. I mean, Marvin. I think his voice is one of the. Martin Luther King used to call Mahalia the voice of God, and I think Martin is also the voice of God for me. Like that man, I mean, I don't even know if I couldn't even speak English, I could still understand like what is coming through those songs. He just some really remarkable stuff.
Oh yeah, because he was so lost as a human being, just trying to relate to the world on the day to day, and he just put it in his music. And it's a weird thing if you read about their relationship, or if you see interviews or watch documentaries about the relationship between Berry Gordy and Marvin Gaye. But in a lot of ways, it seems, you'll go, wow, that seems cruel, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And yet he was the one who helped Marvin find his voice.
Mm-hmm.
And get it out there and keep it out there. So, so much so that when Marvin wanted to do the Let's Get It On album, he goes to Barry, and Barry's like, yeah, no, we don't do message songs. Like, that's, and Marvin says to him, Barry, you always told me to keep it real, that the music has to be from me and who I am.
Yeah.
And I have a brother in Vietnam. I have this, that. And Barry just said, you're right. What can you're right. That's what I told you.
Yeah.
And then you get the What's Going On album, which more than just that song, right? I mean, Inner City Blues Make Me Want to Holler. If that doesn't just grab you by the heart.
Yeah.
Mercy, Mercy Me.
Yeah, man.
So, but yeah, there's, Marvin had serious stage fright, and Barry would slap the crap out of him to get him to go on stage.
Yeah.
And things like that. And, and so, you don't know how to judge that one, right?
Nope. But we have the art. We lost the artist there. Like, we really did lose an amazing voice on that one.
Oh.
Yeah.
And in such a way that just showed you what he was living with, right?
Yeah.
Like after, there's a story that after Tammy Terrell died of a brain tumor, who was just one of the closest people in his life, never a lover relationship or anything, but they were just that close. And that comes through in their music. He ingested supposedly in one sitting like an ounce of cocaine.
Yeah.
Like just, like trying to kill him.
He was going through it for sure.
Yeah. So
I ask all my guests, have you been tested?
Oh yeah.
Yeah? How often?
Yeah. I have been tested 3 times.
Okay.
But I'm working from home. I'm blessed that I have a day job that I work from home. And it's all around me every day. I would never claim to be working absolutely directly in this, but I work in the heart of it. And so I see this all day, and I'm pushing stuff all day. So we don't break the rules whatsoever, right? Like you just can't.
Yeah. I mean, at a certain point, like we're either a society and we're on the same project, or we're not, and it's fascinating to me how many people really don't think we are in a society. They don't want to be part of this whole thing, and like.
And that's what I understand. And this is something you and I chat about all the time. I think sometimes this is where, in our conversations, where I serve as your conservative id, although I'm not conservative in any way. But if we're not living in a society, or if we can't live in a society, do you understand what the implications of that are?
Right.
Like all these things that you view as essential, and you obviously using the universal you, don't exist, right? I mean, let alone the roads that you drive on, the internet that you use every day to spread your wacky freaking ideas, right? Like that. If we can't be a society, that doesn't exist. Like I remember when my oldest child, he was really into a kind of a basic form of anarchism, and wanted to do the communal thing. And that's fine if you can pull it off. And if he wanted to do that and that made him happy, that's fine. What he had to understand is, you're going totally off the grid, right? Yeah. You can't be connected, and you will never have the infrastructure to recreate this for your community.
Right.
So understand what you're giving up. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying it's a bad way to live. But you can't go in at it with Pollyanna.
Yeah, you got to know the score. You got to know the score going in.
And so if we can't live in a society, or if we don't live in a society together, that's the thing. When I was doing, especially when I was doing state government and local reporting, and people complaining about taxes and this is that. And remember the 2012 election? That was one of the big things, makers versus takers, and you didn't build that. And actually, it is kind of more true to the you didn't build that, because you didn't put that infrastructure there. We all together, right, as a society, decided this is what we needed to function for the, for the quality of life, for our life to function the way it needs to in the age we're in, right?
Right.
So what are we taking from you?
Yeah. I don't know. I still don't know.
Yeah. Like
I never have a problem paying taxes. I have a problem with the way my taxes are spent,
Yes, and that you won't let them be spent. That we have a one of our two parties won't let them be spent for the things we actually need,
right,
to function. Right, like our infrastructure is failing.
Yeah,
failing fast and bad. Actually. You had asked a question of me the other day about Buttigieg getting the Secretary of Transportation nod, and what does that mean? And while South Bend is not the biggest city, even in Indiana, right? Like it's not, I don't even think if it's close in Indiana. Local officials, transportation is their bread and butter, and they really do understand that intersection between local, state, and federal, because they deal with it all the time. I mean, think you have federal highways, state highways, and local roads that all ram through downtown Sacramento, right? Local officials actually are good at that. I don't know how deep he is into that issue. Obviously, he must be, but having someone that comes out of local government in that position is not a bad idea, because they know what we need,
right,
on the mean streets, right?
Yeah, I know what it means. Well, I wish we had somebody who understood that about the pandemic right now, because it doesn't look like we do.
No, right, and it's the same thing.
Yeah. No, it's a real marvel to behold. That's for sure.
Yeah, it leaves me speechless, right? Like, and I understand. I see more stuff than people on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And I'm also a nerd, so I pay attention to it, right? But man, how could I not just make music lists? Because like I will go for a drive in the mornings before I start working and just plug in. That's a nice thing about Spotify. I plug the phone in to the car.
Yeah.
And hit the list and just
get yourself straight.
Oh, yeah, because man, you never know what's going to hit you during the day. And whatever hits during the day, coronavirus is still there.
Yeah.
And if we get, a halfway decent rollout, we're not talking about till June until we really start being able to change our behaviors at all.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No.
Right? So, yeah, I mean.
Yeah. So that's a good note. And we are at about time to wrap this up. But hang out, though. I want to talk to you a little bit after this. And thank you very much for jumping on here and putting your 2 cents in. All right. So thanks everybody who joined in tonight and checked this out. Stay safe out there. Wear your mask. Do this thing for everybody else, and keep your social distance. Zoom exists. StreamYard exists. That's how I'm coming out to you right now. Just zoom in with your family. I'm trying to get my dad set up right now with how to do all this streaming kind of stuff. So, we're here for each other. Just be there in any way that you can. We ain't through this yet by a long shot. So thanks for jumping into this. I appreciate you all. Be safe.